It's the first week of September, and we were doing some trail clearing up the hill. We're just trying to improve our trail systems, plus get some food plots going in for things like turkey and deer. So we got to it later. Problem with working here in New Brunswick doing these trails is, at least this year, we had so much rain. Couldn't get back there on the Kubota to do any actual trail clearing until, end of August, early September. So it's later than I like, but it's just the way it worked, right? So we're going to be doing a cool perennial mix in the small food plot. We built a food plot in front of one of the old deer stands, and we just want to get a little bit more, late season food out there for the deer. Now, I don't really expect this stuff to take and be blooming and just in great shape for this season. This is more getting it planted now so that it'll be able to use the dormant period of winter, get prop up in the spring where all that nice moisture, and then we'll have a great plot for next year in the summer. We go through and mow it. They'll come back again for the fall, and this is going to make next year's hunting even better. So what we're going to do, we've got here the Rucksack Amplified blend, so it's just a mix of different types of clover and alfalfa. Great for what we're putting down. They recommend 3 pounds to the acre. We've got a pound here plus 2 pounds of clover. So this is all just straight white clover, little tiny seed. So it's going to be mostly just a clover and alfalfa blend in this little micro hidey hole food plot. It's only about maybe, not even a quarter acre, more like a tenth of an acre really. It's a small area, so we're going to be overseeding for sure. We've also got some triple mix. This is different types of clover and some types of perennial grass. What we're going to be doing with this is we're just kind of seeding some of the trails, some of the dirty spots, some of the areas around that, and then that way we can have like a nice green trail. It's not necessarily a food plot blend, but that's kind of separate from what we're doing here for the food plot area, which is mainly alfalfa and clover. You can see we're in the little food plot area we've made. We've got the tree stand over there. This really is a spot we prefer to hunt if we have an east or a north wind. We've got a trail coming from there. There's a water source. There's bedding all out over this way. We've got another trail out here behind the camera, which heads on down that way. We enter from that side. Then we have all these accesses coming to this kind of central point. It drops down off a hill on this side. And we'll often see the bucks come up from that way. They came up from here last year, but we've cleared this all out. It was really started as clearing out a shooting lane, but then we said, hey, well, why don't we turn this into something that deer are actually going to want and make use of this habitat? So that's why we're doing a deer and turkey blend, just to improve the food source here for later in the season. Once again, it's not really for this season, it's for next season. I'm just using the Kubota with a bucket, nothing special, none of this fancy gear. That you see a lot of it done, but this should be good enough for just a small hidey hole clover plot. We're going to come in here by hand, trim out some of these, this brush and stuff that's here. Some of it's going to come back, but when we come back and mow it, we'll keep it managed. Some stumps here we just can't get rid of. They're just way too big. So we're going to plant and just grow around them. It's not a big deal. We're not trying to change everything here. We're just trying to get some clover growing in the woods. We've got some really nice dark clay soil. I haven't taken any soil tests, but I know that we're a little bit on the acidic side, so the pH is going to be a little lower. There's wild blueberries growing in and amongst here, so it's kind of a giveaway. But for a small little plot like this, I'm not. We'll see if she even takes, right? So I'm getting it planted later than I wanted to. It's not as clean as I'd like it, but it's $20 for some seed. Why not throw it down? And put some of that down here before some of this weed and everything else takes over the spot. So we're just going to chop these off straight at the ground. Just try to clean some of this up. There's a lot of raspberry cane here. And this will come back, so we're going to have to keep mowing it. And just for the record, if you're going to watch the whole video, this is definitely a last minute poor man's food plot. So just with the help of the little Kubota BX, when we decide to make a true food plot, we're going to put a lot more effort into it. But last minute, let's do some improvements. We can get this done. See this soil here, it's a bit compacted. It's not terrible. You can see, I mean, you can still stir it up. A lot of it's just decaying matter. So we're going to overseed this small area. We're using enough seed for pretty much an acre, just on this 1/10 of an acre. So we're going to really get a lot of seed in here. It'll just sit and lay for the fall and the winter. Some of it will germinate. We'll go through that whole process, and then by next year in the spring, it should be pretty good. So you can see there is no clover here now. There's no grass, hardly anything. It's just raspberry cane. So it's just thick bush. And with the Kubota, I can't take these stumps out, so we're just working around them. We're just going to go through and start seeding this area. Okay, so this thing jammed up quite a little bit, but we got it going. Just had to mess with the opening settings. But yeah, we're all reseeded now. This should sit. We're not going to see the benefit of this year. It's already the Labor Day weekend. We're not going to come out here and find, you know, October 1st, hey, we got a great food plot. Not happening. This is a poor man's. This is not winning any competitions for food plots by any means, but it's going to do the job. It's going to improve the habitat here for next season. We're going to give some nice hidey hole food plots in here for turkeys and deer. Turkey are starting to make a big comeback in this area, so we'd like to improve some of the habitat for them as well. And there's a nice water source. We've got everything we need right here, right in the middle of the woods. Dedicated access in and out, trails for the deers and turkeys. We might have a good season even here this year.
Oh, there's some deer tracks. Okay. Now that we're done seeding that food plot area, we're going to try to clean up the trail that Paul made.
We're going to put this little Saker hand chainsaw to work. This guy's wedged in there and it's too bendable. I can't get that part out, so we're chopping him. You know, we've cut a lot of wood with this so far, so it's still working quite well. Easy to use too.
It's almost an invaluable tool in the quad box.
When you're doing trails, it's so nice to have something like that. I'm not going to use it for spindly stuff like this, but for the bigger logs, absolutely going to use it.
Mm-hmm. Where we're walking now, just a few days ago, looked just like this. So Paul took the Kubota and plowed through this area, opening up some more trails for us.
We're opening up the acreage a bit. Yeah. This might be another hidey hole food plot in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some potential right in here. Just got to come in with a forest mulcher and get rid of these stumps. open this area up. We're getting to the back corner of one of the corners of the property out here. We're way out in the back 150. This is the trail that was just put in 2 days ago. So we've got the roundabout here where the trail ends, comes up. We're leaving that whole section alone, along the back edge, and we're going to leave the majority of the property, got at least 75 acres or so down this way, that's all untouched. It's thicker woods, wasn't logged as heavily as this area, and that's a great bedding area for a lot of the deer, so we're leaving that alone. We're going to keep this as the very end of what we call the Oakwood Stand Trail.
I think this has potential.
Oh, it's got potential for sure. Got a great tree over there, maybe that spruce, that black spruce, or the tamarack down there.
Yeah.
Big enough for a tree stand, you can try that. And that would be a great stand for a south wind. We get a lot of south winds out here.
Mm-hmm. It's the main win in our hunting season.
But, I mean, these trails aren't just for deer hunting. We like to ATV ride. We like to come out and forage for mushrooms. We like to nature walk. And we love to do our upland game hunting. So woodcock, grouse, things like that. So we love to walk these trails and spook up things like that, and gives you a chance at other types of game during the season. New Brunswick, you'll have 1 deer a person. So we try to get one early, and we'll try again later in the season. But in between, you know, we like to come out here. It's not one of those properties that we're going to be, you know, you can only keep it for deer and nothing else. And I know that affects the quality of the deer you get and all that. But we like to hunt various game too. So we like to use the woods while we have them. We're just happy to get a deer every season. If it so happens to be a buck, great. But these woods are going to be multi-purpose for us. We love to forage. Lots of blueberries, lots of wild edibles. I mean, something's always, it's always the time of year for something, it seems, out here. See some deer tracks here.
Oh yeah, I see them there.
Okay, so
Little tracks here.
if you're interested in seeing how this turns out, we'll be posting updates on this. Probably not much happening until next year, but if you'd like to see that, like and subscribe and turn your notifications on. You'll be able to see how this goes. A little backwoods hidey hole food plot, last minute 4-man's food plot, whatever you want to call it. But it's here, and we'll see how she goes. Thank you very much. You can see it's September 17th, the day after Hurricane Lee hit. Dumped a ton of rain up here, but the area still held together quite well. We don't need much trail work. But we're looking at the clover. We're looking at the clover plot here. And you can see it's really starting to take off. Lots of it coming up. Nice establishment. You can see how thick some of this is. And we heavily seeded this, so it was a very thick seeding. And then this is just stage 1. So we're planning on getting this area all clover in between the stumps here, and then we're going to expand out to this area over the course of the next couple of years. But this was more of a last minute. We cleared the area. Let's get some clover here before anything else takes over. And it looks like it's going quite well. So it's a nice start. It's definitely later than we should have, but it's still a nice crop to choose a little later in the season. So, and we're in the middle of the woods. There's not much clover around. So I think this will be a nice attractant for, you know, upland, turkey, and deer. So it's just a start, and we'll check back in as it has a chance to establish a little more. But it's looking really good, considering.